Hello, dear students. Today, our topic is how to generate a synopsis for MPhil thesis or for PhD thesis. This synopsis is also termed as research proposal. This is very important to understand its importance and the elements involved in it and the method how we should develop it. Because once the good research hypothesis or proposal or a synopsis is developed, it means that the research would be easier and the path would be clear. So that is why let's have a start and delve deep into it to understand how much it is important and what is the way to do so. Before going for making of synopsis, some of the tools are necessary to be cleared. For example, one should know what is the idea on which the research is to be conducted. This idea can be found out by extensive reading from the courses or from otherwise things and by observation to locate what kind of research is possible. But for that, one should know whether the sources are available in order to conduct that research, because most of the time we have the idea, but the necessary materials are not available. So the researcher needs to locate the presence or availability of resources as well. Alongside the resources, the researcher must be clear about the theoretical framework, what kind of theory or which theorist, for example, can be involved in order to understand the whole process. Not only the theory, one needs to look at the critical materials also. I mean, the researches or the reviews which have already been done on this field, the people who have already worked on the kind of idea, these materials and their availability can make our research very good. The usefulness of the research should also be seen, because the research, if it is not useful for the society in political, academic, or social terms, there is no use of conducting that kind of research. And lastly, one should know that if there is a gap available to conduct the research, because previously researches are already conducted most of the time on different and multiple topics, one needs to see whether the gap is available. Once these things are clear, one can go for setting up the title of the research. But the title has to be probationary, not the final one. There should be some elasticity in the title so that, if needed, it can be changed as well. Once we start with the research, the titles can be changed with the passage of time as well. As soon as the research and the studies continue, they rise up, we need to look for the title again and again. Now, the title basically should be formed with the help of the variables which are important for our research. The writer should know what these variables are and what is their understanding as well. The idea, the theory should be interpolated together. The idea of the research and the theory involved with that is very much essential to be taken care of. And then one should know what type of research it's going to be. What is the approach with which the research would be conducted? So the title should have not only the variables of research but also the approach of research. And in the same way, some kind of analytical reference may also be given that the research would involve this type of analysis. The kind of innovation of the research must be there. I mean, if it already researches are done on the idea, what is innovation? What is newness? What is the kind of thing which will be very much different from the previous researches that the writer going to conduct that? Because the research is going to be something which should be considered a kind of solution of the matters. But the key for these solutions lies in the past, and the problem of the future can be solved with the help of the keys in the past. So that is why this type of title may be formed out in order to conduct the research, and the proposal may be designed. After the title has been formed out, the matter of introduction is there. Introduction actually means an exhaustive discussion on some of these factors. For example, the writer needs to talk about what is his research. I mean, the writer should explain comprehensively what is the idea, what is the kind of research he wants to conduct, and after that, the writer should see why the conducting of this research was necessary, and if not conducted, what's the kind of harm, and if conducted, what kind of problems can be solved. And after that, the writer should also form out the kind of behavior which should indicate how the research would be conducted thoroughly. The method of conducting of research may also be indicated in the introduction. Alongside this, in literary researches, philosophical content is very much important. That philosophy, which is significant and relevant to the idea on which research is being conducted, it should be nuanced 100%. As far as nuances are concerned, one needs to talk about in terms of explanation and interpretation. The title may be interpreted, all the relevant things may also be interpreted, because interpretation is very much necessary in literary researches. After the introduction has been formed out, the writer should proceed further in order to write the research question, because research question is one of the most significant things in the conduct of research that should be very carefully generated and formulated, because it is the thing which determines our direction. It is the thing which lends us focus. So the question has to be direction oriented and focus oriented. I mean, what the researcher wants to do, as it has been said in the introduction, the question should be designed in the same way, alongside the care how the methodology and the theory needs to be explained through that answer of the question. In the same way, the writer needs to find the answer to his research question in his findings. And this he can do only when his question has been comprehensively designed. The question needs to be in alignment with the title or the idea on which the research is to be conducted also. The questions should not be ambiguous, should not be complex in the sense that they must not be understood, they must be self explanatory. So, in that way, sometimes we have one question, the main question, then the sub question, or the subordinate questions as well. It depends on the title and the research, the volume of research, the requirements of the research, how or what type of questions should be made. Once the question is made, one should enter to write the literature review. Literature review should have at least three parts, that it should introduce all that terminology which is very much significant with respect to the research one needs to conduct, and the people who are relevant to that, their opinion may also be considered. After that, the people who have conducted research on that idea previously, their researches may be discussed in great detail in order to discover what is the gap there. Now, this literature review can be written idea wise, concept wise, or it can be written chronologically, or it can be linked again and again with the theory one needs to use. The mention of the theory and its important connections may be established with the idea, and only then the literature review would be complete. And one needs to, therefore, again and again refer to the theory and the research question and the topic with which one needs to proceed. In that sense, the literature review may be added in the research proposal. Not only this, one needs to mention the methodology as well. Methodology means how you are going to conduct the research, what is your research design, and what plan has been in your mind in order to conduct the research. The plan also includes chapterization, in which chapter what you will be writing, and this should be written with reference to the theoretical framework. It should also discuss the mode of analysis, how the analysis is to be conducted. So the theoretical framework as well as the mode of analysis or the model for analysis should also be explained in the methodology. In this way, three sections get completed, that is introduction, literature review, and then methodology. After one has done so, one needs to talk about the limitations and delimitations. The limitations means the access to sources. For example, if we are having no access and only one or two things are inaccessible, we can mention our limitations. But sometimes we have a wider access, but we don't want to use all these resources. At that time, delimitation comes. That is why it is said what is available and what is not, alongside what is the choice out of that. Why is that choice? If we write this section, that should be called limitations and delimitations. Once the researcher has written so, he needs to proceed further to find out what is the significance of his research. I mean, how his research is significant socially, academically, politically, and how it is going to be a new intervention. What would be the consequences, the benefits of conducting this research? And in that way, significance of the research should be greatly explained. Alongside the research problem statement, that should also be mentioned, with the significance of the research. Once this all has been done, the researcher needs to present in the research proposal a type of model analysis, which may be called sample analysis. Some people call it pilot study. I mean, a little fraction, a little part of the explanation how the data collected will be analyzed in the whole of the research. That may be one part mentioned in the research proposal or synopsis. This part should be therefore called the kind of pilot study, a model or a sample of the research which is to be conducted. At the end, definitely, references are to be written. That references section means not only be clear about the style and format according to which the research is to be done, the proposal or the synopsis should also indicate what is the style and format being used. APA 7 or MLA or Chicago, what is the style being used? Alongside that, not only this style, format, but also the layout of the paper. The APA style and other styles also mention the layout, so that should also be mentioned. That is A4 times New Roman, inches border every side, and in that way one can proceed further by clearing what the references are going to be. Then one should know how the in-text references are given and how the end references are given, how the direct quotes may be mentioned and how the indirect quotes or the hung quotations may be mentioned. The writer should thoroughly have this knowledge and should clarify in the references how he has used these references. If these things are done, definitely the research proposal would be technically very sound. However, the success depends upon understanding of the idea, the concept, the research question, and the title, explanation of all these things. Make your research as good as possible. So thank you for watching. Hope to see you in some next video. If you understand this, get benefit out of it, do not fail to hit the subscribe button and the log button. Thank you for watching. Hope to see you again.